So we're preparing to live stream, so we should go live in just a second here.
Sure. The second we're gonna start, Logan needs to come in here. Just hold him, maybe.
All righty. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and mute this so that nobody can hear this on my end. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, so now I've got the share link. So I'm going to put the share link in the chat so that our friends at Starship Tempest can share out this link to all your friends and followers. Let me see why it's not working.
You send
Oh,
me
I see.
a link when you sends it so that I can do that.
All right, so now the link is in the chat, so you can invite all your friends and family aboard.
Awesome.
Great.
And they won't miss anything because I'm just going to do our quick intro and welcome everybody. Captain's log, star date today. Today is the 15th of August. It's Sunday. It's a blazing hot day here in California. I don't know how it is over there in Chicago, but we've been having some warm ones here. And it's no surprise probably to anybody that it gets hot in California, but it gets really hot now. So we've had quite a lot of weather, but we're staying nice and cool. So welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since we've been able to do this live, and I'm really excited to have Starship Tempest with us today. We're making first contact with these fabulous people who I found when I was trolling through the fantastic world of Instagram hashtags, and I went under Sci-Fi Podcast, and Starship Tempest came right up as one of the most active ones, which was fantastic. And so I was like, yay,
SEO.
yes.
Yay.
Exactly. So yeah, so you guys are coming up in the feed, which is fantastic since I think you guys have been around for a minute and been pretty active, which is fantastic. So let me tell you all about Stardate Today. If you've never seen the show before, basically what we do is we are on our mission this season to meet as many other podcasters of sci-fi horror crossover as we possibly could. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Kat King, and I served as one of the Trek Tech interns on the Seventh Rule podcast with Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Sirach Lofton, and Aaron Eisenberg, who we lost in 2019, unfortunately. But I was very blessed to be a part of that show, to be able to help support the show. The show is still going strong. So if you've never subscribed or never seen an episode of The Seventh Rule, you can go subscribe here on YouTube. They also have a Patreon, so you can subscribe, help keep the show going. We continue on the show with Melissa Longo, Aaron's wife, as well as, of course, Ryan T. Husk and Sirach Lofton. So they're still doing the show. I think they're actually reviewing Lower Decks. And what they started off doing was reviewing Deep Space Nine, because Aaron and Sirach had never seen the show before. And so they wanted to go through episode by episode and watch all the entire series from start to
That'd be
finish.
fun.
And that
so
was
cool.
yeah, exactly. That was the whole idea behind the Seventh Rule podcast. So if you've missed it, then you have a lot of content to go back through and binge, because it's been a minute. They've been going for about a year, and I would say since before the pandemic started. Yeah.
Wow.
So they've been going strong. So they said to me, Kat, hey, you know what? We really love having you here, but you do really great in front of the camera. Why don't you do your own podcast? And I said to myself, that's a wonderful thing to consider, but what would I possibly do a podcast on? Because there's so many out there now, and I feel like, what could I bring to the table? And the truth is that was actually the answer. The answer was to find out about all these different podcasts and see who's still going post-pandemic. And I know we're still going, the pandemic isn't over yet, but it seemed to have slowed for a little while, and seemed things started to open up again. And so things started to feel like they were kind of going back to normal for a minute there, until we have this Delta variant surge, which kept me out of Vegas this year. I've been going to the Vegas convention since 2007. And I never missed a year until last year. So this year I got a new job, and they just said, no time off for 6 months. So I was like, okay. So I missed Vegas this year, but I got my vaccination. I'm as protected as I can be, and still masking everywhere I go. So I've just had to figure out what was I going to do. And the truth is that meeting other people is one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting other people who are into the same things I'm into is my ultimate favorite thing of all time.
Yeah.
So we decided to start a mission, and the mission was first contact. So this season is all about making first contact with new people and getting to know each other, and then of course cross promoting each other's shows and letting each other know, each other's fan base know about each other so that we can grow as a community and build that community together as Star Trek fans, as Star Wars fans. We were just talking about Alien before we went live because there's a new show coming out. And if you haven't heard about it, that's the big news for the podcast today is Noah Hawley, who was going to be doing the Chris Pine reboot movie, Star Trek movie, is now moving to the Alien series. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to find out more about that. And stay tuned for some more news coming up, hopefully over the next 6 months or so about the series. So basically what we do at Stardate Today is we invite another podcast crew onto the show, which we have Starship Tempest with us today. And then we play a couple of games. Sometimes we've been doing Mad Libs, Star Trek themed Mad Libs or Star Wars themed Mad Libs. And sometimes we don't do it. We've done it every episode, but it takes a little bit more time than we really have. So today I thought, let's skip Mad Libs and go right into Sci-Fi Superfight. That way our guests, because we have three fabulous people with us today, I want everybody to have a chance to have a word in edgewise and say what they think. So let me tell you about how Sci-Fi Superfight works. It is a fun game that we play where we have a deck of cards. And actually, this is a game that anybody can buy. It's from Hot Topic. I think you can still get it. It's hard to see because the way I have my background going, but there it is. More or less, you can see the alien. You get the idea. So it's basically a stack of cards with two different stacks, one black, one white, and the white ones have a character name, and the black ones have their fantastic boon or advantage, something that they can use in that fight. But before we get to Sci-Fi Superfight, let's meet Starship Tempest. Tell us all about your fabulous selves, and I want to know everything.
Hello. There's a lot.
There's so much.
Fantastic.
The three of us out of the, what are there now? 6 of us. The 3 of us out of the 6 of us that are here all live in the Chicago area, but there are 6 of us total in the crew, and we have all known each other since college, which was somehow a very long time ago.
Happens fast.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We used to be in Florida, all of us, and now we're scattered all over the United States. And during the pandemic, during the early pandemic, our GM, our game master Brian, had said, I want to start playing Star Trek Adventures with you guys. Maybe it was even before the pandemic started.
It actually was.
Yeah.
He approached me, and I don't know, maybe Travis, he also approached you. It was probably late 2018 is when we first started theorizing about it. And it took a while to get kicked off. Primarily, it's my fault because I've been the lead sound designer for 2 relatively successful podcasts. One was Our Fair City, and one was Unwell, which is a fantastically popular podcast right now. It just won the BBC Audio Drama Award for best. I think it was best drama.
Yeah.
And you did sound design for them?
Yeah, I was the lead sound designer.
Well, congratulations. A win for them is a win for you. Congratulations. Well done.
But needless to say, I was backed up with work. And as soon as I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, Brian, one of our dearest friends goes, "Hey, Ryan."
Closed it. Yeah. Immediately turned off that light.
Yeah.
Put that light up.
And my initial instinct was to say no, but how can I say no to my best friends in Star Trek?
Right.
So
I
said yes, but it took a while for us to get traction, and that's where the story picks up.
I was also pregnant. We were having our 3rd son.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, guys, I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna play late at night with you. This is fun and everything, but I can't do this with a newborn. And how are we gonna record a podcast while I have a newborn who's crying for a bottle or something? We can't do this right now.
Right.
It's fine. It'll just be part of it. It's fine. People will love it anyway. And I was like, Brian, nobody's going to listen to this. And 13,000 downloads later, what do I know? So people are enjoying listening to us play this game, and we are learning as we go and getting a little better sometimes and making our GM Brian absolutely crazy. So hard to put our storylines together because he started with the Star Trek Adventures original book and then started building his own. So all of our stories are from Brian, and that's our 2-year-old.
I'll get him.
All of our stories are from Brian, and they're really incredible. And he really thinks of okay, how many different ways should this go? If they decide to do this, what would happen and whatever. And he's really planned it out. And then we screw it up so badly for him. he just like, we have a running joke about how often we make Brian sigh during an episode because he's just like,
Yeah.
It's a long supercut.
Oh, brilliant.
But
So now let me ask you this. So for anybody who doesn't know what the Star Trek Adventures game, could you tell us a little bit about that so that people get an idea of what that is? Because if you don't know what it is, you might be a little confused. Is it like D&D? Because it sounds like D&D, but like Star Trek.
Yeah,
Go
that's the easiest way to sort of describe it is
Oh,
it's
okay,
D&D,
cool.
but Star Trek. It has different dice mechanics, like the way you roll is slightly different, but it's still
Okay.
essentially, when it comes down to it, we are designing our characters and then we play as those characters in the
Okay.
scenarios that the game master sets up for us. And then depending on what task we have to do, we roll dice to see if we succeed or not.
Sweet.
There's a whole bunch of really nuanced and crunchy and complex interactions of things that we mostly get wrong and then correct the next episode. But all in all, it's D&D, but in Star Trek world. So
That is fantastic. And then now I'm like, okay, it's like, you get to write all these different storylines and the potential outcomes and all of that. And that is, well, first of all, I love D&D. So if you take D&D, that's one of my favorite things. And then you bring Star Trek together. That's like the perfect combination, right?
Well, we were so green
fantastic.
though. We were so green
Oh, we
because
didn't know.
Yeah.
only, I think Travis, you had a little bit of
yeah, I played one or two different than D&D, but yeah, one or two role-playing games under my book. Brian, our GM, had played a couple but had never GM'd before, so this was his first experience doing that, and then everybody else had never done anything like it. So
okay. Yeah, so everybody was kind of new, and it took this adventure together for the leap of faith kind of a thing. Sounds like fun.
And we're way sillier than Brian wanted us to be.
That sounds great. Okay, fantastic. And so, do you broadcast your guys' game?
It's Starship Tempest is kind of a hybrid approach to. It's not a pure actual play, and it's also not a pure audio drama. Brian wanted, like in a perfect world, we'd have these scenarios, and then I would design them for him in as complex a soundscape as is possible, and it would sound more like listening to a mission episode of Star Trek than actually people playing an RPG. That being said, practical and impossible.
Right. Right.
So we kind of blur the line. So we do a lot of editing of our missions, and we layer it all with sound effects, and we try to build as much world in the ear as possible for the podcast. And so we don't have any live stream. We haven't live streamed anything. It is on the to-do list in the future to have our first live play kind of
we
game.
want to be better at it before we
admittedly, a vast majority of the editing that we do is cutting out the 5 minutes we discuss how a rule is interpreted, and while we look up that rule in the 300-page book. So it's like just cutting those out, because we record usually for somewhere between 4 to 5 hours, and then we end up with generally 3 1-hour episodes, and it's just because of cutting out crosstalk, cutting out the breaks that we do, and those sort of weird questions that we're like, okay, let's chat about this for 5 minutes and then pick up where we left off. So
and we release every other Wednesday on every streaming service possible. And all of our Patreon donors get the episode Tuesday night, so they get it a day early.
That's fun. That's fun.
A fun little perk. So
that is fun. Okay. And so now, do you mind sharing like how many Patreon or how many followers and like how many people are participating in this with you?
Brian actually just told you about that.
He did?
The Patreon? He said that
he did send me a list. I didn't count them.
It's a long list. He's like, it's a long list.
Well, we're just about to,
in fact.
we're just about to release the final episode of season 1. So we wanted to do sort of a closing statement of, well, this is the end of our season, and these are our patrons, so thanks to them, and then run through the list of everybody before we go on break for a little while. So
yeah, it's probably about 15 or 20 patron donors right now. So it's still like in the terms of big podcasts, we're still pretty small, but it's growing, and it's largely due to Tara's efforts on the social media side of things. So
I did see on your on Instagram that you said that it was over 13,000 downloads, right?
Yeah,
13,000.
We just hit over. Actually, we're probably to the halfway between 13 and 14,000 now, which is crazy how it's built and
taken off. Good for
and which is amazing. And also I wanted to mention, because I was so happy to find your Instagram and hear what you are doing with your podcast, because similarly with our Instagram page, when I started running our social media, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm like, I can do this. Nobody else needs to do this. I can do this right now.
Right.
So I was running our social media, and I was like, guys, I'm running out of material. I don't know what else to post. Send me pictures, I guess. I don't know what to put. And Brian suggested, he was like, hey, you could go to like DeviantArt or something and post cool art. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to run with that idea. And so now I hunt down Star Trek art and cosplayers and artists, and I ask them permission first to see if I can share their work. And then I tell them, of course, that I'm going to tag them appropriately. And so then they're getting extra Star Trek fan eyes on their work. And they, when they're excited, they come and see what we're all about. And I love the symbiotic relationships like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. We're building a community, and we are building bridges across, because like I said, everyone is kind of on their own little island right now, and it's just nice to be able to connect with everybody and feel like, hey, we can do this together if we want to, and have a great time doing it. So
100%.
So fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing about Starship Tempest. I just enjoyed the entire concept of it. And I think it's fantastic that what you're doing together, and that you have seen such success. Just even a little bit is a lot, really a big deal, especially in this day and age when, like we said, the market is oversaturated with podcasts. Right. So you guys, you're bringing something that is something I haven't heard about people doing it quite like this before. So it is a little different and unique. And I love your shirt. I love your shirt today. That is a fantastic shirt. Just want to show off your rainbow, Vulcan salute.
Amazing friend Casey designed this for us. It's a Pride IDIC, and they are an incredible genius artist friend of ours, and we really appreciate it. Also, Ryan's wearing our
I look
like our mission
Starship. That's
by our friend Donna at Homemade Studio. So we're just repping the merch tonight.
Nice. I'm just repping, Star Trek with my little Star Trek.
I mean,
shirt.
right? Yeah.
I'm here. I brought it. But fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and start Sci-Fi Superfight. Like I said, super easy. I'm just going to show you guys, share with you the names of the characters and each of their boons, and then we're off and away. And I'll give us, a good minute to 2 minutes to start debating, and then we'll decide who we think wins. Or you can just free for all it. Sometimes we just get into it right away because somebody has an idea, and usually that person has like a dominant theory. But the last couple of times we played this game, you'd be surprised at how many people disagreed, or everybody thought it was one thing, and then I brought up one little point, and then I was like, oh, maybe that is a good point. Okay, so let's do this. So today we have in this corner Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise. Yes, so it's Captain Picard, and his boon is that today he is commanding a squad of clone troopers. Maybe it's some kind of mirror universe Picard.
Oh my!
It's not what it says. It just says Captain Picard. So let's do that. It's Captain Picard commanding a squad of clone troopers versus good old Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Oh no!
Injected with medical nanobots. So what do you think?
Wait, Doc Brown has been injected with medical nanobots?
Doc Brown has been
It sounds like something he would do.
But it does sound like
Let's be honest.
But like, okay, so now you need to.
I love them both so much.
Fun story, real quick. There was a time when we were at a local convention here in Chicago, and we were in line to get Christopher Lloyd's autograph, and up comes this guy in a beret, cuts the entire line, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And it was Patrick Stewart introducing himself to Christopher Lloyd. So we have a little bit of a
great story.
A little setup for a little segue.
But nobody hit anybody, so we don't know who wins.
That's true. They didn't throw down.
No throwdown.
What do the nanobots do though?
I don't know.
What would you have to decide? What do you think? Why would he do that? Why would he even inject himself with medical nanobots?
I can only think of Data.
Why wouldn't you though?
Didn't Data have nanobots in that one episode of TNG?
Yeah. Well, yes. They infected the warp core.
Right.
Right. It wasn't Data. It was one of the other. It was the guest scientist of the week, and
but Data was dealing with the nanobots.
He was helping.
Was it Doc Brown undercover?
Oh,
well, here's the thing. So Doc Brown, we know that Doc Brown has used technology to help make himself appear to be more youthful, or actually it was reversed. He wanted to make him appear more elderly, so that Marty would recognize him. Maybe he took that technology a step further and injected himself with nanobots so that he could be younger, more fit, and more badass.
Huh.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking of somewhere along the lines of the because it says medical nanobots. The only thing I could think of is that he is doing it to fortify himself against Captain Picard and his clone troopers.
His clone trooper army.
I can see Captain Picard with the squad of clone troopers just ripping through there. I can see it happening.
It's just Doc Brown versus Picard and clone trooper. Like, I don't know. Clone troopers are gonna miss anyway.
Exactly. Good point. See, that's a good point.
That's moot.
They may not hit him at all. They may just go right on by him, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what we know.
My first thought was Doc Brown would travel back in time, but Picard already did that in one himself. So
point.
Oh, he's already got the time travel punch card too.
I think he beat him to it. Well, I don't know. It's a good match. I think it's
a good match.
It's an interesting theory to think who would win. I think, you'd think that he's outnumbered, but at the same time, Doc Brown has his medical net, so maybe he's virtually indestructible, and no matter what Captain Picard does, he just won't be able to get a shot off.
What if they're battling in some other way? Like, what if they're not fighting? What if they're battling like I don't know, a game of wits, or it's some like Olympic sport, like they're trying to do the long jump. And all the clone troopers are just cheerleaders.
That's a great idea. Let's say they made it to Tokyo, and they're in Tokyo, and they're competing together against each other on the uneven bars. Who wins?
Who would win? Picard and his cheerleading stormtroopers, and Doc Brown on the uneven bars.
I love the uneven bar. For one.
Somebody out there, please do the art for this.
Yes. So I have to see that. I'm actually like drawing the picture in my mind already of this whole thing happening.
Oh man, I can't.
Look, I'm not gonna.
We can't go against Picard.
No, but guys. Doc Brown would be slaughtered. I'm sorry. We're trying to make this interesting, but Doc Brown would be utterly slaughtered.
Yeah, Doc Brown versus an army.
I love Doc Brown. I love him. But he's also.
But he could outsmart them. What if he harnessed some lightning?
Is he going to out tactical Picard?
What if he harnessed the lightning though, and just like took out all the clone troopers at once?
That's a lot of hooks and clocks for Doc Brown to try to set up.
He knows exactly what time it's going to strike. So.
Yeah, but he'd get lost making the scale model of that. It would take him forever.
Oh,
that's true. All right.
And it would not be to scale, and it wouldn't be seen.
I love that. I can just see him working on his little model, like
every single.
I got this. This is the one, baby. Mwah, and then sends it off. Yes. It's hard because you have so much love for Doc Brown, and yes, maybe he could fortify himself, but realistically, I think Captain Picard's such a strategic tactician.
Yeah,
it would be
I
really
would agree.
hard to actually be. He might be able to survive and like stay on the run, go on the run. Maybe get away from Captain Picard and evade him.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
But in actual, let's just say even fisticuffs, like just hand-to-hand combat. Captain Picard would whoop his ass.
Yeah. When you said Captain Picard, I said Captain Picard. Like, he wins no matter who it is. But when you said Brown, because I love him so much, I was like, oh no, now I have to think about it.
Oh, I feel bad now.
Well, it's also tough because if it was like season one Picard, you go like, oh, well, part of the reason they cast him the way they did was because it was like, we don't want just another Kirk. We're up like guy who's gonna go punch something. We wanted to get someone a little more stately and stuff. So season one, it may seem like, oh, well, maybe not so good in a fight. And then by the end of the actual series, Picard's been through hell a dozen times and is just a total badass.
Yeah. Well, he'd already been, by the time he made it to the Enterprise, his heart had already been replaced, right? Because he'd already been in a fight with the Nausicaan, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So even by the time we meet Picard, he's already kind of a badass with a bionic heart.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about this nanobots thing, because if why would Doc do it? And we all know that clone troopers are also bioengineered. And I'm thinking that he would give himself up. And this was all part of his plan, that he would just walk out and surrender. And when they take him into custody, his nanobots would then infect the clone troopers so that he could all of a sudden have his own army. He is a mad scientist after all.
He is a mad scientist.
And he spent so much time across all different time periods and probably had plenty of time to study also. He's probably read Art of War. I think Art of War is one of Doc Brown's favorite books.
Probably.
His next dog is named Spoon. Is that the Art of War? Did I get it wrong?
I think so.
I think I got it wrong too.
It is now.
Also, like you think Doc Brown injected himself with nanobots, and it's an easy comparison to make since it's based off of that. But it also that just sounds like Rick from
Rick and Morty.
From Rick and Morty, where it's like, oh well, of course he'd just be a mad scientist who injects himself with nanobots.
Yeah.
I think in another one we had like evil Rick or something, and another one where I forgot what his boon was, but it was something to do with flying to an asteroid field or something. It was evil Morty, and he had all the weapons from Men in Black, and that one was versus Jar Jar Binks flying to an asteroid field. Yeah. So it was Jar Jar Binks in an asteroid field versus evil Morty, who had all the weapons from Men in Black, and it was no contest. Evil Morty wins.
Yeah, it sounds like Jar Jar Binks is already in trouble if he's just floating through an asteroid field. I don't see how floating in space is.
I don't see that as an advantage at all, but
not a superpower.
There it was on the card. I was like, this makes no sense. Oh yeah, and then we had I think that we had one with Rick, and it was he was secretly just an illusion, and so the idea was that he would win because nothing you could do would injure him or hurt him in any way because he wasn't really there, and that was like the winning argument. So yeah, we had some.
We need to own this game.
Yes,
that sounds great.
If you can't find it on Hot Topic anymore, you can probably get it on Amazon now.
Yeah,
so it's a very fun game. Now the game itself is a little bit more involved. I extrapolated the easiest way to play it for a podcast.
Yeah,
but if you actually get the game and play with friends, you can have such a great time with this. So we really enjoyed it. And I hope that you enjoyed playing with us today.
Yeah,
I think we all agreed that Captain Picard wins, no? Or did we say, or some? We have 2 votes or 3 votes for Captain Picard, and I think one maybe is making a good case for Doc Brown.
A loving case for Doc Brown.
A loving case.
But alas, we come to the conclusion of our fantastic game. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me. And just let us know again. You said your show or your fantastic RPG-ness happens every other Wednesday, and we are. Does that mean that this Wednesday or next Wednesday?
Yeah, we'll be releasing the season finale for season 1 the day after, or this Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah.
Wednesday, fantastic. And you guys are all over social media everywhere. So go find Starship Tempest. They're not hard to find at all. If you're not on Instagram, get on there. We could all use a few more followers,
Yeah, for sure.
And likes and subscribes and share the episode out. And if you love Sci-Fi Superfight and you want to come on and play with us, don't hesitate. It was really easy to book, right? How did you guys book us? You tell them.
Yeah, I saw a post you made on Instagram that hey, do you want to come and play this game and be on our show? And I was like, yes, we do. So I sent a message, and you sent me to your website where you fill out the calendar thing, Calendly, I think it's called.
Calendly.
And and I just checked with the rest of the crew to see who was available, if anybody else wanted to join me, and here we are.
Fantastic. So yep, it's exactly right. It's calendly.com/Stardatetoday if you want to book us. It's completely free. I didn't charge anybody. I never charged anybody to come be on the show. That would just be such a silly waste of everybody's money and time. And honestly, because like I said, we're building community. This is one of my favorite things that I've started to do, and I really enjoy making first contact with new folks. So thanks so much for being with me. And we're going to go ahead and close out the show and say goodbye to everybody. And we'll see you at our next episode. Hopefully we'll have another podcast crew join us in the next week or so. And if not, just keep an eye out on my Instagram for updates on the show and its next episode. In the meantime, if anybody missed this show, it'll be posted on Instagram. It'll also go up on YouTube as soon as the broadcast is over. So thanks, everybody. I'm ending my log.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
This was lovely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.